Hi there, how are you doing? Now talking about ES6, ES6 is ECMAScript 6 specifications. Okay, so as you already know, JavaScript is based on ECMAScript. So the regular JavaScript that we've been writing so far, they are based on ECMAScript 5 specification, also known as ES5. But now we have ES6, ECMAScript 6 specification. Now this ES6 is not fully implemented in all the browsers. However, you can do quite a lot with Google Chrome. I've been trying and it's working fine. But yeah, it has yet to be fully implemented in the browsers. So in this ES6, there are a couple of new things we need to learn, such as declaring variables. So far, we've been declaring variables only by using var, right? Now we can use let and const to create the same kind of variables. So what's the difference and why did we needed these two new methods? This is the lesson you learn. Let does not get hoisted to the global object. That's why it is recommended to use instead of var. When you need a variable whose value can later change, use let. When you need a variable whose value doesn't need to change, use const. And however, if const is used on object, its properties value can change. So let's discover. First, let me create something with var the old way. For example, let's say if I would create name with var, right? I could rename, I could recreate, redeclare this variable with another value, right? First I give it a value of var and then I change the value to gen. Now if I console log, it works, right? Yeah, it works. However, this is alright and this is not a problem. But if you're working in a bigger application, this can actually be a problem. For example, what if you by mistake redeclare the same variable with the same name? That would override the old variable's value, right? And that can be a real problem. So that's one thing. For example, let's take a for loop. Okay? For loop, we create a variable. Let's say I equals to 0, I is smaller than 5. In that case, increment I, right? And we do something here. Now, I can access this variable I from outside of this scope, outside of this loop scope. Okay, you can see, it's 5. And now you see 5, you don't see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 because this is the same variable, its value changed. So when this loop runs, when it becomes true, 5 is smaller than 1, then it runs, so it becomes 1. Then again, it is still small, so it runs again. Another loop, then it runs again until it reaches 5. It runs, so that way it runs 5 times. So as a result, variable I first it starts with 0, then it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and by the end it is 5, so you see 5. So that, for example, if you would use let, first of all, you can't uncut reference. Let is I is not defined, so you cannot access the variable declared with let outside of its scope, so it stays inside, so it doesn't become part of the global object. Okay, so that is one benefit of using let. In most of the scenario, you don't want this to be part of a global object. Obviously you don't want that, so this is one of the good thing. Now same with this name. If we were to create if we were to declare these names, so let creates its let stays within this scope, so that's a good thing about that. Now, unlike var. Now let's see if we can redeclare variable using let twice. Refresh, as you can see, name has already been declared. So this is another benefit. You don't by mistakenly redeclare the variable more than once. So it is recommended wherever you would use var, it is recommended to use let when you're writing ES6. Okay. So now, what about const? What is const? Const is also another way of declaring a variable. For example, let's call const name equals to 1. Const name equals to gen. Okay, let me comment that out. and let's give it a try. And identifier name has already been declared. Okay, so it has already been declared. Okay, let's give it a try. Okay, assignment to constant variable, so you can't do that. So that is another benefit. So let's say you create a person variable, person object. Okay, so when you use when you apply const in objects, they behave in a bit different way. So that's what I'm going to show you. Okay, so const person object, now give it a name of Ryan. Okay, okay, now you cannot redeclare the person variable. Okay, so that's nothing new. However, what you can do is you can say person dot name, access the property of this object, because before you were trying to change the entire object, so you got the error, right? However, if you try to change not the entire object but just the property, okay, person name equals to, let's say, Jen. In this case, if you refresh, you don't see any error. That's because when you use const, you cannot change. When you're using const on the objects, you cannot change the entire object, but you can change its properties. So that is something to keep in mind. Console log person. So as you can see, its name is Jen, set to Jen. So const you can use same like let. However, when you use it on objects, its properties can be changed. Okay, so that is the basic knowledge you need to know in order to use let and const. So whenever you're writing ES6, it is recommended not to use var but instead let, and whenever you know that the value will not change, you can use const. If you need some kind of a variable that's value can be changed later, just like var. You don't want it to become a part of a global object. However, you want this to be flexible enough so that they can change. You can do that with let. So instead of redeclaring both times, if you can just get rid of the let, so it will continue the same variable. So just like a variable, you would declare a variable and then you assign a different value. In this case, it's no problem. Okay, so whenever you need a variable whose value can change later, use let. Whenever you know that you need a variable that's value no need to change, use const. But the special behavior with const is that it's if it is an object, its properties value can change. Right? So that's it. I'll see you in the next video.